Hi, television family. Good to see you again. Happy Tuesday, 13th day of October, 2020. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. 3 weeks to Election Day. 3 weeks. We're getting there, folks. In fact, that's the topic of conversation today, live in this very studio. The back half of the hour, Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore, Douglas County Auditor Duvall. Normally around the election cycle, I interview both of these gentlemen separately. It seemed kind of superfluous to do that this year. The topics are the same, the general election. So Thad and Skip have agreed to come down and visit me live right here in this program, and we'll catch up and give you everything you need to know to get ready to vote for 2020. That's coming up. It's been raining pretty much for the last 3 hours. It started raining lightly about 4 o'clock in the morning, started picking up in intensity, and it's been coming down big time for the last hour or so. But the rain really isn't going to be the story today. The weather today, the big story is going to be the wind. They have now issued a high wind warning. Yesterday at this time, it was a watch. Now it's a warning, more serious. They have 3 tiers the National Weather Service uses for severe weather or active weather, if you will. The lowest one is advisory. That's when the National Weather Service says, we're kind of keeping an eye on this. We'll see what happens. That's the advisory. Then they go to the watch, which is the next step up. It's more serious. It's like, okay, we're pretty sure this is going to happen. And then they have the warning, which is this is going to happen. And they have upped the amount of wind we're going to get today. We're going to have very windy conditions late this afternoon into the evening hours. This cold front that's bringing all of this rain, because there's no wind at all really right now. As soon as it moves out of the area, here comes the wind right behind it. A very important forecast is coming up. A lot of news to get to. Sports, 2 very entertaining baseball games yesterday in the National League and the American League Championship Series. I like watching good baseball, and yesterday was good baseball. Plus the obscure holiday today in history. Mike McNalty has got an opinion, and we got some celebrity birthdays to come your way as well. All right. Gee, I wonder what the cameras look like this morning. Let's take a look at what we got. Yeah, that's our cross camera. We should change the name of the show to Good Morning Hoquiam. Yeah, a lot of rain. This was predicted, but we could actually break a record for rainfall because it has been raining constantly since 4 o'clock this morning. As I mentioned before, it's been raining really hard, all things considered, for about the last 45 minutes or so. So it is definitely a lights on, windshield wiping kind of morning all over north central Washington. And you folks in the upper elevations, up in the Med-How and on the North Cascades Highway, you're going to get some snow. Wait till I show you that slide. Camera number 2. Where are we off to, Megan? She's probably going to be really challenged to find something we can look at. Hose Landing? That's Rood Canyon, I'm sorry. We've used that camera before. That's my bad. That's the very top of Rood Canyon. You can see the repeaters and the transmitters and the translators and the cell phone towers and the various sheds that they are attached to. I'm pretty sure it's raining up at Rood Canyon. You just can't tell that it's raining, because near as I can tell as I'm looking at the Doppler, it's raining everywhere. It's raining basically almost all over the state right now, and it's going to stay that way for a good portion of the day before the wind comes. Rood Canyon, camera 3. That's a beautiful view of, I have no clue. That's Wenatchee Heights. That's the lower camera? Okay, yeah, we have 2 cameras on the Heights. Of course, we call it the cross camera, which is our most popular camera, but we also have one that we call Wenatchee Heights East. It's a lower camera, not quite as high up as the cross camera, and it's also a little bit more to the east. It's about 500-600 yards away from the cross camera. So I'm thinking we're looking at East Wenatchee. I think the only 2 things you can see that's actually lit up there is probably Fred Meyer. That's just I'm spitballing there because it's kind of hard to tell. Camera 4. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. That's a body of water. That's mountains. Philadelphia. That's the Manson Water Tower. I'm sorry. Good morning, Manson. It looks like it's raining up there as well. Lake Chelan hanging in there. And okay, there you go. That is not Philadelphia. There. We'll do it. Well, we won't do what we're looking at. We'll do what we won't be looking at. How's that sound? 5 minutes after the hour. Very windy today. There's no other way around it. Now, these are gusts. These are not sustained winds. These are gusts. But look at the Wenatchee Valley. Are you kidding me? 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts, stronger still in the Ellensburg area. It's going to be late this afternoon and this evening. Obviously, power outages, they had that yesterday, is certainly going to be a concern later on today. The winds will be picking up in intensity as the day goes. By late afternoon, by sunset or so, it's going to be very windy. And we're going to have sustained winds at 30 miles an hour, gusts at 50 or more for the Wenatchee Valley and other locations, even stronger than that. In fact, we could even see local gusts, the occasional rogue gust, up to 65 miles an hour in some of those exposed ridges. So very, very windy today. And again, a high wind warning starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon, goes into 11 o'clock this evening, but it's still going to be breezy for the next few days as this cyclone-type system comes through the Pacific Northwest. And for you folks to the north of us, are you ready for some snow? State Route 20, the North Cascades Highway, expecting some snow today. Washington Pass, which is on the North Cascades Highway, 48 inches of snow. Of course, Loop, which connects the Methow Valley to the Okanagan Valley. You could get a couple of inches of snow. Sherman Pass, 2 to 4 inches of snow. So snow levels are down there. In fact, even the Methow Valley and the Mazama area, you could get some heavy wet snow later on today. So if you're traveling on the North Cascades Highway or to the north of us, once you get up to maybe Twisp and Methow, you're going, hey, snowflakes. Not going to last very long, but the possibility is out there. So we thought we'd throw that up. All right. From Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they gave your home a hug. Here's your forecast. Are you ready for some wind? Again, rain. It'll start tapering off about noon. We should be done with it by about 3 o'clock, but here comes the wind right behind it. Extremely strong sustained winds, 30 miles an hour, 35 mile an hour sustained winds tonight. We could very well see record rainfall this morning till about noon, and then here comes the wind. Strong wind this afternoon, very strong wind tonight. Eventually it'll be decreasing after midnight, so if you're driving a high-profile rig, you're going to be moved around quite a bit. Wednesday, sunshine, high of 61, still a little breezy at times on Wednesday. We're talking gusts around 30 with a sustained wind around 15 to 20 miles an hour on Wednesday. Wednesday night, mostly clear, 40 for the overnight low, still a little breezy on Wednesday night. It's going to take a while for this wind to cycle through the area. Thursday looks very nice, very little wind at all, high of 62, 43 for the overnight low. Just a few passing clouds on Fridays, slight chance of some light rain, high of 69. Sunshine Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with temperatures slightly below normal. Sunrise this morning, 7:17. Sunset tonight, 6:16. 10 hours and 59 minutes of daylight. We've gone under the 11-hour mark as the days are getting shorter and the nights are getting longer. And again, we cannot stress this enough. A high wind warning, that's about as serious as we can get, starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon, goes until 11 o'clock this evening. Watch out for your lawn furniture. They may end up in somebody else's backyard by the end of the day. Today, going to take a break and come back with your Tuesday morning news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
My name is Lacey Haggerty, and I'm a nurse midwife with Columbia Valley Community Health. I love all aspects of my job because it is a profession that's very committed to empowering women to make decisions in their health care that feel best for them. It's incredibly valuable to me as a midwife that I get to take care of women throughout their whole lifespan. I hope to see you at a future visit because I know you'll love having midwifery care.
Pybus Public Market's motto is where community meets. Whether it's people, enjoying an event or they meet a colleague for coffee and whip out their laptop and are able to actually do work here, having quick and reliable Wi-Fi is one of the things that makes Pybus such a great community hub. It just contributes to the welcoming place that we want Pybus to be. I'm Allie, and fiber keeps people connected, and that's what Pybus Market is all about.
We are back at 9 minutes after the hour. It is raining, and raining pretty good here in downtown Wenatchee. 45 degrees, rain most of the morning into the early afternoon hours. The rain goes away. Strong, gusty winds this afternoon and tonight. Here are your headlines. The Eastmont School District has called off their plans to start in-class instruction for younger students. That was supposed to happen next Monday. In a statement yesterday, Superintendent Garn Christensen said the area has not yet reached the COVID-19 numbers recommended by the state for returning students to the classroom and would need a waiver from the health district to do so. Christensen said he's going to be meeting with the county health officer next week to ask for a waiver. The district had planned to offer in-class instruction to students from preschool to fourth grade. The state has recommended no more than 75 new cases of COVID-19 per 100,000 residents over the past 14 days before kids can return to the classrooms. Douglas County is currently at 117 per 100,000 residents over the past 14 days. An East Wenatchee woman is accused of removing indigenous artifacts from a culturally important riverbank site along the Columbia River. Douglas County prosecutors on Friday charged 59-year-old Teresa Clara Clark with 2 counts of disturbing an archaeological resource. Sheriff's deputies said a Grant County PUD officer discovered Clark on September 21st trespassing on an ancient habitation site on the river near Rock Island. She was allegedly carrying a collection of rock tools and tool-making materials she'd illegally gathered there. Now, authorities said Clark was previously caught gathering items from the same location in 2018 and banned from the property for life. Disturbing an archaeological site is a Class C felony in Washington state. Clark must appear in court on October 26th. Chelan County PUD crews were busy. They spent late Sunday and most of early yesterday morning responding to numerous power pole fires that knocked out power to about 900 customers throughout the county. About 400 customers in the McKittrick Street and Western Avenue area of North Wenatchee were the last to have power restored. That happened about 10 o'clock yesterday morning. Also pole fires and outages near Malaga, Peshaston, and the Sunny Slope area of Wenatchee. The PUD says when there is rain after a long dry period, the dust on poles and their metal components becomes a conductor of electricity, and that leads to pole fires. Total home sales in the Wenatchee area real estate market last month up 18% over the same time last year. That's according to the latest real estate snapshot from Pacific Appraisal Associates. 126 homes in the Wenatchee market were sold in September. That's compared to 107 in September of last year. However, active home listings are way down compared to last year. 166 in September of 2019, 74 in September of 2020. That's a 55% decrease. The median and average price of a home in the Wenatchee market also went up, with the median price up 6% and the average price up 10%. The median price for a home in the Wenatchee area is $365,000 compared to $345,000 in September of last year. Hikers in the Horse Lake Trail system can expect short-term closures from mid-October through mid-November as the Chelan County PUD replaces 4 wooden transmission structures with steel poles. The PUD will be using a helicopter to fly in the materials, and they'll be using heavy machinery as well. The work has been timed between the fire season and the wet winter weather. The PUD says the steel poles will better protect the transmission lines during fire season. The work areas will be reseeded to the area's natural habitat. Starting today, the NCW Library's Bookmobile, coming out of 7 months of COVID storage and heading out to bring literacy to Central Washington communities. It'll offer weekly curbside pickup of library materials that were ordered online or by phone. Also a drop-off box to return library materials, free craft and STEM kits for children and teens, and an internet hotspot for anybody needing to use Wi-Fi. Expect to see the Bookmobile Tuesdays in Orondo and Wilson Creek, in Plain on Thursdays, and in George on Wednesdays. You can't go inside the vehicle, however, because of pandemic restrictions, but the library hope at least it's somewhat a return to normal operations. And if you haven't been to Cashmere lately, plan a trip, because the annual Scare Crazy displays are more imaginative than ever this year. You can then vote on your favorite scarecrow at the Scare Crazy in Cashmere Facebook page. Voting ends on Thursday, and here's some of the displays you can see throughout Cashmere. And again, you go to the Kashmir Scare Crazy Facebook page to vote for your favorite display. That's a nice way to look at it, but you really got to look at them in person. First prize is $1 million. It isn't. That's the news at 17 minutes after the hour. Grant and Eric and Cal and Jefferson and Malcolm is even helping us out this week, putting together the news for you at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And with the preview, here's the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, you've talked about it this morning. High winds expected this afternoon and some wind into tomorrow. I'll have your complete North Central Washington weather forecast, and Eric Granstrom will be in with a look at the Major League Baseball playoffs and last night's Monday Night Football matchup in sports. That and all the day's news coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope you'll join us then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. You have a news tip? You want to drop us a line and say hi? Look at the bottom of your screen. We have the tools, and you got the toolbox, so let's make it happen. You can go to our Facebook page, drop us a note via Facebook Messenger. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, or use our website, ncwlife.com, and click on the contact icon at the top of the screen. Going to take a break. When we come back, we got sports, including baseball playoffs, Seahawks, and we're talking Wenatchee Wild. We like that. We have the obscure holiday today in history, some celebrity birthdays. Mike McNighty's got an opinion, and live in our studio are two local county auditors, Skip Moore from Chelan County and Thad Duvall from Douglas County. It's time to start talking elections. All coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.
Highlander Grill and Golf Course is known as one of the finest wedding venues in the Wenatchee area. You do not have to be a member to come to Highlander. Highlander Golf Course offers a first-class backdrop for your wedding day. Our friendly professional staff will ensure your wedding and reception is picture perfect, from every moment leading up to the I do's to when the lights go down at the end of your reception. Hi, I'm Shalane, site coordinator for Highlander Grill. Give me a call to schedule your event today.
We're back on a cloudy and rainy Tuesday. Let's do sports. Tampa Bay has taken a 2-0 lead in their best-of-7 American League Championship Series over Houston, 4-2. The final in Game 2 yesterday. Manuel Margot gave the offense an early jolt. He had a 3-run home run in the bottom of the first off Astros starter Lance McCullers Jr. Former Mariner Mike Zunino, he added on. He had a solo shot in the 7th inning. That's his 4th home run of the postseason. Carlos Correa homered for Houston in the 6th. The Astros scored another in the 9th, had the bases loaded, and then Nick Anderson coaxed the final out. An exciting game indeed. Charlie Morton earned the victory. He went 5 innings. He allowed no runs, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts. McCullers takes the loss despite lasting 7 innings and striking out 11. Game 3 of the series is a night game, 5:40 on TBS. Ryan Yarborough will take on Jose Urquidy. Austin Riley's lead-off home run in the 9th inning broke a 1-1 tie. The Braves rallied for 4 runs in the inning, and they beat the Dodgers in Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, the final 5-1. Marcell Ozuna followed Riley's home run with an RBI base hit, and Ozzie Albies capped it with a 2-run home run off LA's Blake Trinan. Freddie Freeman gave Atlanta the early lead with a solo home run of the 1st. The Dodgers tied it in the 5th on Enrique Hernandez's home run, and then it stayed tied at 1-1 until the 9th. They're up 1-0. The Braves are. They'll send Ian Anderson to the mound Game 2 today against the ace of not only the Dodgers, but probably all of Major League Baseball, Clayton Kershaw. First pitch at Globe Life Field, 3:05 on FS1. Seahawks have been known over the years to pick up the occasional player to help them resurrect their career, and in some cases resurrect their lives, and that's the case with defensive end Demontre Moore. The 6'4", 260-pound defensive end has bounced around. He's been with 6 teams in his 7 years with the NFL. He was with Seattle at one point, but he had off-field troubles. He had a DWI, and he broke the league's substance abuse policy. He's older now, and according to Coach Pete Carroll, He's got a family to think of, and he's got a new attitude as well. Moore came through with a sack and a forced fumble in Sunday's 27-26 win over Minnesota. He also had a big hit on special teams play that Coach Pete Carroll said was his favorite play.
He was drafted by the Giants when Larry Izzo was there, and Iz was part of special teams there, and he used to cover kicks for him way back then. When we first got DeMontre coming back in, that was the first thing he told me. He said, "Hey, this guy can cover kickoffs now." And I said, "No, come on, he's too big. He can't do that." And he said, "No, wait till you see him." Well, DeMontre's always been a guy with great energy and great juice, great motor, really a great effort player. And so that kind of all lends it to he's going to be going as fast as he can go all the way down the field. And sure enough, he lit one up, and on the hit that he made, the sidelines was 10 feet off the ground for those moments right there. In that kind of culminated the surge that we had in the game. It was just thrilling, and so it was a blast. That was my favorite play of the game by far.
Moore says he's very appreciative of the opportunity to play with the Seahawks again. He was with the organization in 2016, and he says he wants to show the team he is worth the chance.
Coach Carroll is still the same guy. Mr. John Snyder did a great job with assembling this team. And, you got great leaders that's been here for a long time that's established T-Lock, KJ Williams, Bobby Wagner. And so for those guys to welcome me in with open arms, I just wanted to go out there and prove to them that, they didn't make the wrong decision and that I owed them for just bringing me back and just giving me that opportunity. And so to see it all finally, come into fruition and make those plays, it was simply amazing.
Seahawks are on a bye this week, and that has the staff a little nervous about possible COVID-19 exposure. Coach Pete Carroll says as a result of that, he's asked everybody to respect the bubble that they tried so hard to create.
Yeah, we have to be so tuned in. Rule number one is always protect the team. And this is what this week is about. It's staying in that rule number one is all about conscience and staying connected to team and your players and who you represent and all that. Everything is at stake. I mean, and why it's such a big deal is we're out of our normal routine. We can't practice this one. This is just the first time we just got to do it. And I love practice and everything and being prepared and having a mentality for it. And this has just got to carry over from all the time we've had. Our guys will test every day in the morning, so they'll stay at least connected in that manner. And I'm kind of hoping that our guys will work out and be around the facility and do their thing in a fashion so that it's somewhat normal, because we're entering into a new week, and their routines are they're starting over. So I'm concerned about guys making error in their ways, and they run into the wrong people, they go to the wrong place, and they get themselves, and they become vulnerable, and we change the bubble effect of what we've been creating here and working so hard to keep. So it's all about conscience. And so we'll do everything we can to remind them in every way, and the players are going to work at it amongst themselves and all of that. With real direction is really crucial. So hopefully we'll be able to pull it off.
Again, the Seahawks don't play this weekend. They'll next see action down in Arizona, taking on the Cardinals on October 25th. Wenatchee Wild started training camp yesterday. The question is, are they going to actually play games that count later on this year? Because, of course, there's a COVID shutdown to the Canadian border. So the Wenatchee Wild begins a 7-week training camp. They began it yesterday. Coach Chris Clark says they'll have 23 players in town to show them what wild hockey is all about.
We got a good skilled group. I think we got some good returning players that we'll lean on obviously early, especially in training camp, to show the culture and how we like to do things here in Wenatchee. But again, we're going to be built on speed. We're going to be built on making plays, getting up and down the ice, being extremely hard to play against when we don't have the puck. And the one thing I should mention that is always a staple for Wenatchee Wild hockey is that we're going to be disciplined. We don't take a whole bunch of unnecessary penalties. We want to do our damage on the power play and spend as little time on the kill as we can. But the beauty is that we got 7 weeks to help mold these kids and help guide these kids in the way we want to play. And again, 7 weeks is a blessing for any hockey coach to be able to work with kids. So we're excited.
Clarkey says they're working with other organizations throughout the region because they want to play some kind of exhibition hockey before the BCHL season gets underway. It's set to begin in early December with or without the Wenatchee Wild. The Wenatchee Wild, of course, are going to have to wait until the border reopens because all the other teams are up in Canada And of course, the COVID restrictions locally have to be lifted as well before they can play league games. Keep your fingers crossed. Those are just some of the games that people are playing. On this Tuesday, you're going to look at today's obscure holiday and you're going to go, right, Dan, come on. I know most of the obscure holidays are pretty frivolous. Today is National No Bra Day, but this is serious stuff here. There are going to be women out there, a lot of women, who are not going to wear their bra today, and it's for a very good reason, breast cancer awareness. So it's a reminder for women to get screened for breast cancer and do it on a regular basis. I got some pretty sobering statistics on No Bra Day. 1 out of 8 women in this country will be diagnosed with breast cancer sometime during her lifetime. Almost 3 million breast cancer survivors are out there right now. There's an inspirational story. Breast cancer is the second leading cause of death among women in this country. It's the number 1 diagnosed cancer in women today. In the U.S., breast cancer kills about 40,000 women a year. Every 2 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer, and every 13 minutes, a woman with breast cancer will pass away. This is serious stuff. Now, I know some people, I have to wear a bra to work, or, so if you have to wear a bra to work, wear purple. The other thing to celebrate this is wear purple so we can eradicate breast cancer on this No Bra Day. 28 minutes after the hour. Today in history, here's a bunch of old men hanging around in Washington, D.C. Longitude and latitude, it's there. Well, from a horizontal standpoint, it's easy. It's the equator, right? What they had to decide was what was going to be the prime meridian, the vertical. Something's got to be 0. What's it going to be? Well, nobody could agree on anything. And there was something, I think at one point, there was something like 35 different time zones in this planet because nobody could agree on what the prime meridian would be. And finally, they said, this is nonsense. Let's all get together and just decide one prime meridian so we can get it over with. And 136 years ago today, a bunch of old men who were smarter than I am got together and said, the Greenwich Observatory in England will be 0. And then everything will go off as 0. They needed to unify railway timetables and navigation purposes. And the reason that England got the gig is that England had the largest navy in the world in 1884, and they used the observatory as their base. So the International Meridian Conference establishes the prime meridian. Took them long enough. Happened 136 years ago today. The very first World Series came to an end on this date in 1903, 117 years ago today, with the Boston Red Sox winning their first, they were not known as the Red Sox at the time, the Boston Red Sox win their first modern World Series, defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates in 8 games. They had a tie. They could do that back then because they didn't have lights and it would get dark and the game would be called a tie. Ironically enough, the players for Pittsburgh, the losing team, made more money than the Red Sox did because the owner of the Pirates took his gate receipts that he got and he put them into the players' pool. So the Pirates, who lost, got more money than the Red Sox, who won the World Series. And they've played it every year except 1904 and 1994. We don't want to talk about those 2 years. Speaking of the World Series, this is the 49th anniversary of the very first night World Series game. The Orioles and the Pirates played the very first night game in World Series history on October 13th, 1971 in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh won every World Series game since Game 7 of the 1987 World Series has now been played at night. You'd think night baseball would have come earlier to the World Series, but they didn't do it until 1971. And this plane crash was so unimportant, it barely even made the newspaper on October 13th, 1972, 48 years ago today, when Air Force Flight 571 from Uruguay crashed in the Andes Mountains. Come see me in 72 more days, and we will revisit this plane crash. I think you know what I'm talking about. We'll talk about that in 72 more days. Birthdays. Happy birthday, Paul Simon. Paul Simon, I mean, what do you say? He's 79 years old today, 2-time inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with his partner Art Garfunkel in 1990 and as a solo artist in 2001. He's got a shelf full of Grammys. He's a great American songwriter. We love Paul Simon, and he celebrates birthday number 79 today. Maria Cantwell, Senator Maria Cantwell, celebrates birthday number 62 today. Ironically enough, she's the most senior junior senator if that makes sense. She's the junior senator from the state of Washington, but she's had the gig for the last 19 years because Patty Murray has been there even longer. Maria Cantwell, 62 years old today, and voted the greatest player in NFL history. Jerry Rice, 58 years old today. He holds over 100 NFL records, by far more than any other player, and I would say that Jerry Rice certainly has a claim to be the greatest football player ever. He's 58 years old today. It is the bottom of the hour. We got an opinion from Mike Magnotti and then Thad Duvall and Skip Moore, our respective county auditors. It's that time of year again. You got your pamphlet? Let's talk elections with Skip and Thad when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Doghouse Motorsports just won Best Motorsports Store for the 7th year in a row. Is it the great facility? Is it the fantastic products? Or is it?
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Tabor.
I'm Mike. And I'm Glenn.
Hi, I'm Todd.
I'm Jeff.
And this is the Doghouse Service Team.
Hi, I'm Dee.
And I'm Dwayne.
And I'm Kathy.
Come on in and experience the Doghouse.
Are you in the Doghouse?
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family. Green Motion e-bikes is located right downtown on the corner of Palouse and Wenatchee Avenue.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
Dr. Wayne Latimer's Integrative Chiropractic Clinic and Rehab now offers more services. If you've been injured on the job, in an auto accident, have a sports injury, call today and try his wraparound services. Latimer Chiropractic Clinic has added a physician's assistant and a naturopath to their medical lineup. From needing stress relief from a busy life to looking at core health issues, stop by Latimer's Integrative Chiropractic Clinic on Mission, where they are committed to doing more so you can too.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. So a friend posted on Facebook that Jesus was a socialist because he told us to feed people. Well, I mentioned that there's a difference. Jesus told me to feed people. He didn't tell the government to make me feed people. So, of course, some people jumped on my case for being, self-righteous, blah, 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 whatever I don't know. But look, you can attribute Jesus to your economic philosophy or your political beliefs, right or left. But it's not a question about whether Jesus is on your side or not. It's a question of whether or not you are on his side. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hey folks,
Carrie from Blueberry Hills. Looking for great food that's also an experience? Come on out to Blueberry Hills in Manson. Open year-round and named one of the top 4 restaurants in the state worth the drive for breakfast by the Seattle Times. Serving down-home scratch country cooking with huge portions at family-friendly prices. Great food and a fun experience for the whole family, and definitely worth the drive. For more information, check our website at wildaboutberries.com.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
Mary Maids of Wenatchee has been professionally cleaning and sanitizing homes and businesses in north central Washington since 1998. Mary Maids uses commercial-grade cleaners and viricides. Mary Maids has implemented additional safety and sanitation protocols. They are strictly following CDC guidelines for the safety of their clients and employees. For expert help with cleaning and sanitizing your home or business, call or look up Mary Maids of Wenatchee to schedule your free estimate today.
Martin Scott Winery has a fantastic view overlooking the Columbia River to Mission Ridge and beyond. See and taste for yourself the magic of Martin Scott wines. Sharing the view just south of Martin Scott is Bianchi Vineyards. Doug and Kim make you feel right at home at Bianchi Vineyards and offer new varietals you won't find anywhere else. Across the river and against the rock cliffs west of Malaga is Malaga Springs Winery. This beautiful winery can be described as an oasis in the desert. Enjoy an afternoon at Malaga Springs Winery.
And we are back at 38 minutes after the hour on this edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 3 weeks from today, it's Election Day. We're back at it again. And of course, normally I talk to the 2 gentlemen sitting immediately to my left on an independent basis during the election season. It seemed kind of silly to do that this year because we're all one community. It's all one area in north central Washington. So instead of interviewing Thad and Skip separately, I brought them both in. And they're live here in our studio. To my immediate left, as you see there, is Douglas County Auditor Thad Duvall, and to the far left, or far right, as you see, is Skip Moore, the auditor of Chelan County. Both of these gentlemen, no strangers to the show. Thanks for doing this together. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I really do. Thad, we'll start with you because we're starting with you. You're getting a head start. There are other counties besides Douglas that are mailing their ballots out today, but you're one of them.
Yep, our ballots go out today, and we're just looking forward to hopefully most of the ballots getting in the homes by the weekend. And so we're hoping that people just get right on that and vote.
And we think that they are. You're both of you predicting that you're going to get a lot of ballots right out of the box, right back into your offices.
Yes, I think so. I think many people have made up their minds and they're anxious to vote. I think we can tell that by our call volume, which is so much higher than it is normally. People are saying, "Where's my ballot? I want to vote right now." Just getting tons of calls every day. So ballots are being mailed today. Make sure that everybody knows that. And I think we're going to have a lot of people voting right up front.
Skip, when for those of us in Chelan County, when can we expect our ballots in the mailbox? I'm sorry?
We're dropping Wednesday, and you should be seeing them Thursday and Friday. So
okay.
we're just behind that here. Yep.
I always traditionally ask about turnout, so let me get this out of the way right now. We're going to use the 2016 presidential general election as our barometer here. Turnout in Douglas County 4 years ago, Thad, was 77%. A little over 21,000 registered voters. In Chelan, you had an 80% turnout. I'm rounding the numbers up with 43,000 registered voters in Chelan County. Again, this was 4 years ago. Once again, Thad, where are you at turnout-wise? What does your gut tell you for Douglas County?
I think it's going to exceed that previous turnout number. I think we're going to have at least between 80 and 90%.
How do you account for that?
Well, just the amount of interest that's not only in Douglas County, but statewide and nationwide. Everybody is just paying attention, really in tune with what's going on, and they're anxious to vote.
And yet, ironically enough, in Douglas County, there's less things to vote on this year than there was 4 years ago. There were more locally contested races. There were more statewide contested races. There's actually less decisions to be made, and yet we're going to have a higher turnout, you think, in Douglas County?
Well, I think so, and I think one of the reasons why is a lot of times issues and candidates do drive the turnout, and of course the presidential election is off the charts. But don't forget we have a governor's race as well. And besides that, we've never experienced a situation in our lifetime practically where the decisions of government officials can affect our lives like they're affecting us now. So I think people really want to express their opinion about that.
Skip, Chelan County turnout. I'm curious to hear what you think.
I honestly think we're going to crack 90%. Yeah, I know it's crazy. You know, I like to always say 100%. That's what we want. I know that's not realistic, but you know, 60 in the primary, 80 4 years ago. Just the number of calls and people registering. I can see between 85 and 90%.
I hope it's 100. Where I'm a dreamer.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I figure I'll never get 100 because that'll be the time I forget to mail mine in, and it'll be 99 point something. It'll be my fault. But no, I think we're really going to see a lot of folks. They're all the way around from the local level to the national level. People are enthused.
I'll ask both of you this. On primary election day back in August, Chelan County had a little over 47,000 registered voters. Douglas County, almost 24,000 registered voters. So how many voters have registered since primary election day to vote in the general election? Either those who have let their voting lapse because they just quit voting and now they're back in it, or first time people voting, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Registration up?
Oh yes, it definitely is. It's keeping us very busy. I would say we're approaching 1,000 registrations, and probably for the first time ever, Douglas County will exceed 25,000 registered voters.
We're right now at yesterday we were talking about we cracked into 49,600 and change. So it's very conceivable by the time the election comes around we could be at 50,000, which is, well, it's the highest we've ever been in the county. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So everything from here on out is record setting, and it's just same thing. People are engaged.
And both of you like that a lot, don't you? Yeah. I mean, I know both of you say if you are eligible to vote, you should register and vote.
Yes,
it's just exactly. It's we've done all we can in the state to take away any difficulties for somebody to register. And if you're eligible, geez. There, at this point, since you can register all the way up until 8 o'clock on election day, get registered and vote. I mean, take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, let's talk about deadlines while we have it right now, because you're mentioning some pretty sizable turnout numbers you're both predicting. Deadlines to register both either by mail or by internet or in person. There are hard numbers that people need to know as they kick that can down the road, but they can't kick it down the road much longer. Give me the hard numbers on deadlines, please.
Well, everyone they can register by mail or online up until the 26th. From the 26th on, it needs to be an in-person registration. So from that point on, they can still do everything. They can change their address. They can go ahead and register to vote for the first time from the 26th on, but it has to be an in-person transaction.
Is that a bit of an issue in this COVID world about courthouses, restricted access, things like that? How does one do that to apply in person?
Well, what we've been doing is it is difficult right now. We'll be opening up a little bit. We're going to be a little freer in our courthouse here probably next week. But mostly what we're having people do once they get to the courthouse and the security level there, security just lets us know somebody needs to register. We come down, escort them up, and then allow them to register. So we're kind of making those accommodations, but it's not as easy as the days past where you just wandered in.
I would be remiss, it's very plainly spelled out, by the way, on page 6 of your voters pamphlet, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask these gentlemen this question. What happens to my ballot from the time it arrives at the auditor's office?
Let me go back and explain just
go ahead.
first.
Go ahead.
In Douglas County, we've got a central foyer area for the whole courthouse. And we've got it all set up where we've got a whole election registration table and a kiosk where people can register online and a phone bank, and we'll come down and wait on people in person in that foyer area.
Okay.
So it's all set up and ready to go.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, Thad and Skip, what happens to my ballot once it arrives at the auditor's office? Whether I stuck it in the mail and you guys got it, or I put it in the drop box, which are everywhere, and you got it, what happens from that point forward? I'll let either one of you tackle it or both. My ballot is in your office. Now what?
All right. Well, once the ballot comes into our office, what we do is we take all the ballots and we put them in batches. We count them in 25s, and we usually process a batch of 100. And we take those ballots in and we do what we call signature checking. So in terms of the signature checking part, we're able to have, the last scanned signatures for individually, we have even more than one historical signatures in our database. And so we're checking the signature on the ballot with the signature we have on file. If we get a match and we credit the person for voting, then the ballot is opened up and the signature envelope goes one way and the ballot, when the secrecy sleeve goes another, from that point on, total ballot secrecy. And then we go ahead and inspect the ballots and process them and get ready to scan.
Is the signature verification, is that done manually with your eyes, or is there a computer that's doing that?
Manually with our eyes. So we're actually holding the hard copy signature and then looking at the one on file on the computer. So that type of thing.
With a combined 80,000 or more, 100,000 maybe even registered voters, but that's a lot of eyeballs. How do you swing that, guys?
We just bring in a lot of temporary, call them temporary election workers. But I'll point out that our temporary election workers have all had signature verification training with the Washington State Patrol. They have several classes throughout the year, and we make sure that our workers attend those classes.
And a true story, and Skip remembers this a number of years ago, they flagged my ballot, and they did it for a good reason, because I registered to vote in 1982 when I was 18 years old, and that was my signature on file. And by golly, when I turned 52, my signature wasn't quite the same. But your staff was fantastic. You said we put this aside because the signatures are, and I went in and I updated my signature card, which is something that people should probably consider doing if their signature has changed.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's that. One, if their signature's changed, and two, that also brings us to this part of let's get the ballots in early this time. We anticipate a lot of ballots, high turnout. It is a time-consuming process. The sooner they get their ballots in to us, the sooner we can verify the signature. And if there's an issue, it gives us enough time to still contact the voter and they can correct it. If we start sliding closer and closer to the election, we can see where all this starts to get into a bottleneck. So it helps everyone. One, my processing folks, and two, the voter as well, to correct any omissions or errors. If they forget, people forget to sign the envelope as well. We want their vote to count. Sooner they return it, the sooner we can see if there's an issue, notify them and get it corrected.
You both prefer drop boxes to the mail. Nothing against the United States Postal Service. I love the U.S. Postal Service, but that eliminates a lot of potential issues if you simply use the drop boxes, right?
Well, we have full control over the drop boxes, and I think that's why we're comfortable with that. We hire teams of 2 people to pick up those ballots, and they have sealed carrying cases they put the ballots into, and they're sealed and transported right to the office, and then we get them right into the processing flow. So we're comfortable with that.
Same thing. And the nice thing is it's as close as you can come in providing, basically walking in and placing your ballot into a machine, as it were, in this process. So there again, we're trying to talk to folks. Early is better, because once the ballots get out there, we'll have the drop box open. You can drop them off. And again, high turnouts. We've even had on election night, I've had people drive up to the box when we're locking the ballot box, and they can't participate because they're late. Mm-hmm. We want to avoid the rush, the jams at the drop boxes. Steady stream of traffic driving around a drop box gets crazy when it's at night and dark, especially with 8 o'clock rolling around. The earlier the better. Use the drop boxes. That's from them to us.
And maybe there is a silver lining in all this. All 3 of us are in agreement that we think the vast majority, I would say maybe 75 to 80% of the registered voters out there have already made up their minds.
I think so.
So maybe we won't have that last minute, here's a bunch of ballots on November 3rd that you gotta wade through. That would be the best, would it not?
It would, yeah.
I guess I was speaking to a gentleman the other day, and they were talking about voting in person. You can vote in person at the courthouse starting next Monday, actually starting Friday, but our poll is going to be working. But the thing is, when you come in and vote at the courthouse, I'm still going to issue you an envelope. I'm still going to issue you a ballot that you're going to mark, a paper ballot. We don't have voting machines per se anymore that collect the actual votes. So you're still going to be voting that piece of paper, and you're still going to be signing the envelope. our hope is people, if they want to come in person, we're more than welcome. Come in, get an I voted sticker, maybe have some cookies.
Yeah.
I understand that. But come in with your vote already filled out, the one we sent you, because again, we anticipate a lot of folks being in our office, and with the quarantine, the mask issues and all those things involved, the protocols, I don't want people backed up 20, 40, 50 deep at the courthouse, especially when time is of the essence. Because if you've got that ballot that we mailed you, please use that. You want to bring it in? More than welcome to greet you at the door and have you bring it in. But use that one because that'll move you through the system quicker as we get closer and closer to Election Day.
And this happens. It sounds silly, but it happens. People lose their ballots. Here's the ballot, and you know what? I stuck it with a gas bill, or I spilled coffee on it, or something like that.
Sure.
This happens. Not an issue, right, Thad?
Yeah, someone can call up and say, I've lost my ballot. We'll go ahead and issue another one. People, sometimes if they change their address and it would mean a different ballot style, they can get what they call the current ballot, which replaces their old ballot. But one thing we want to make sure that everybody understands is when we get closer to Election Day, we don't have time to mail it out to you and for it to come back in. So it's very important that people contact us as early as they can. And if people choose to use the mail instead of the drop box, I would say that you should mail that ballot almost a week ahead of time just to make sure, because we know that the post office has said that their times are between 2 and 5 days for first class mail, and so I guess earlier is better, no matter what the circumstance is, to let us go ahead and fix whatever problem it is, and you get your ballot in your hand and you can vote.
In the state of Washington, your ballot counts if you mail it as long as it is postmarked by 8 o'clock on Election Day. I've asked both of you this question many, many times, Thad and Skip. Should that law be changed so that the ballots have to be in your office, not postmarked, but in your office by 8 o'clock on Election Day? I know you both have an opinion on this. Thad, I'll let you go first.
Well, I used to believe that it would be much simpler to make that law effective, and they'd have to be in on Election Day. But since everyone's used to the postmark situation, it would take us several years to get everybody used to that. And during that time, there would be a period where people would be kind of disenfranchised because they didn't really understand that rule. It would take a lot of publicity. So I'm not so sure I'm willing to go through that pain of disenfranchisement when we were transitioning over to that. And then the other problem is that creates problems in the post office itself, because if they're not really right on top of it, that puts all of the responsibility on the post office to deliver to us on Election Day. Mm-hmm. And if something's hung up in the postal system, then with our law now, they've got several days to clear that out and get it to us. So I guess if we could control the post office 100%, and yeah, maybe that would be good, but when we can't, I'm just so hesitant to pull that trigger.
Skip?
I'm not a fan of it, and primarily it would be because of not being able to control the postal system. And even, a 1 day transition can make a difference. And it would be very difficult for me to look a voter in the eye when I've got 300 ballots laying in a tray, all postmarked on Election Day, that come into my office the day after the election. Mm-hmm. I can't count them, and it's going to be, and there will be questions of, well, how do I know when you got them, Skip? Mm-hmm. And I would like to avoid that, just simply if it's got the postmark, I will count it up until the certification.
You bring up an interesting point. What's the latest you've ever gotten a ballot that you had to count because the election hadn't been certified yet?
The day before.
The day before.
You've actually gotten ballots in the mail the day before certification.
Mm-hmm.
And certification is like in late November, right? I mean, it's
24th.
24th, so we can count up until the 23rd. But remember, we all have military voters and overseas voters, and those take a long time to come back in. So yeah, we do get ballots that trail in right up until the 23rd.
What's the percentage of registered voters here in Chelan and Douglas County that use the drop box as opposed to stick it in the mail? Do you have a breakdown? Do you have an idea of the percentage of mail as opposed to drop box?
In Douglas County, we were inching up over 60 to 65%, but then when they passed the law with the postage already being prepaid, we saw that drop back off a little bit. But now with all the furor with everything that's going on in the national news anyway, a lot of that doesn't apply to Washington State, which is confusing, by the way. But because of that, I'm thinking that our drop box volume might go up this election. What do you think, Skip?
Well, I think mine's going to be up. I mean, we were right around 65 to 70% as well. And then we saw the same thing. Paid posters kind of dropped it. But I am anticipating, just from the phone calls we're getting and concerns people have about their ballot getting to us safely and on time, that I think our drop boxes are going to probably be over 70%.
We got about 3 minutes left. The flow of ballots in years past, you get the big dump right out of the box, and then it would trickle down, and then you get the big dump at the end. The people who either have made up their mind or haven't made up their mind, with a little leeway in between as the ballots begin to trickle in. How do you expect the flow of ballots to come into your offices this year? Skip, I'll let you go first.
Well, yeah, we used to see about a third right after the drop, a third in that interim period, and then the third right around the 3 days prior and the day after Election Day because of transition in the mail. I am right now, I think we're going to see close to, within the first 10 days, 50% of our returns. I'm thinking people they're asking about it, they're wondering where their ballot is, and they want to get them back in the system. So I'm thinking we'll probably see 50% within the first week.
Same deal for you?
I believe so. And there are a couple of other counties that have already mailed, and they're reporting really high turnouts already. So we're already seeing it.
I would be remiss if I didn't have, we talked about Dropbox. I do the Dropbox. It's so easy. Half of them are drive-throughs, for crying out loud. Whoop, you're done. You can do it over your lunch hour. Yeah. The security of the Dropbox. These things are like vaults, right? Are there video cameras on them? How does it talk about the security of the Dropbox itself?
Well, our Dropboxes, they probably weigh, 500 to 1,000 pounds. They're just really solid metal. So they're not going anywhere, for one thing. But we've talked during this election. I'm in talking with our Sheriff Morris, and we're going to ask for some additional drive-bys, during the voting period, and just people just checking it out, make sure everything's going okay. And then we're talking about having some extra security on election night. We've got a lot of people that are really interested in Dropbox security nowadays, and so I think it's important with how many people are highly interested. We're going to have people observing the Dropboxes from the political parties and just interested parties too. So when you got a lot of people, really looking at the Dropboxes like that, I think it'd be good to have law enforcement just kind of being around that area too. So
we're almost out of time. Last question, real quickly. How do I know you got my ballot and you counted it? Skip, you got about 30 seconds.
Okay. One, if I show I've received it, on our website we post that on a daily basis when we're processing, so a voter can look and see whether I've received it. If it says, if it doesn't, it says received, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. If it's not, it says challenged. Challenged means there was an issue, and that they can contact our office, or we'll contact them to correct the challenge problem. But we do list return ballots by voter's name on our website so they can confirm they mailed it and we got it.
Is that votewa.gov?
Through votewa.gov.
Votewa.gov.
Yes. Votewa.gov.
There you go, votewa.gov, and they update it on a spreadsheet or an XLR or a PDF, whatever it is, at the close of every business day. And so, these two gentlemen have some of the finest staffs I've ever worked with up there in Waterville, and Skip down the road. Kudos real quickly to your staff and your election supervisors. And I'm kind of excited for November 3rd. I will see. I can't drive up to Waterville if it's out of my way. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This has been Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.